What's up everyone? My name's Mitch and today we're going to be talking all about how the blood flows through the heart. So first we're going to start with some basic anatomy of the heart and then we're going to trace the flow of blood through an entire heartbeat. So what I want you to do is to first just watch as we go through the anatomical outline, and then once we've labeled everything, try drawing what I draw on the screen yourself on another piece of paper at the end. So the magic number that you want to remember with the heart is 4. There are 4 chambers as well as 4 valves that allow the flow of blood to occur in the proper direction. The 4 chambers of the heart are the right atrium, the right ventricle, the left atrium, and the left ventricle. And the 4 valves are the tricuspid valve, named so for its 3-leaflet shape, which separates the right atrium from the right ventricle, the pulmonic valve, which separates the right ventricle from the lungs, the mitral or bicuspid valve that separates the left atrium from the left ventricle, and the aortic valve separating the left ventricle from the aorta. So this is the basic skeletal outline of the blood flow, and what I want you to do is trace this pattern with me as we go through it briefly. So we have starting at the right atrium through the tricuspid valve to the right ventricle, then from the right ventricle through the pulmonic valve to the lungs, then from the lungs to the left atrium, and then the left atrium through the mitral valve to the left ventricle, and then from the left ventricle through the aortic valve into the aorta and the rest of the body. There are 4 concepts that you need to memorize before tracing the path of blood flow. Number 1, anything written in blue represents lack of oxygen or deoxygenation. Number 2, anything drawn in red represents oxygen or oxygenated. Number 3 is that anything labeled a vein, or any veins for that matter, represents blood vessels that carry blood towards the heart. And then number 4 is arteries. And these are blood vessels that carry blood away from the heart. An easy way to remember this is that arteries start with A and they carry blood away from the heart. So you have A to A. There are tons of little veins that carry deoxygenated blood from both the upper and the lower halves of your body, and they drain into 2 major veins before they enter your heart. Think of a bunch of tiny rivers that are carrying water into 2 bigger rivers, which eventually carries that water into an ocean, whereas the ocean is your heart. These 2 major veins are called the superior vena cava and the inferior vena cava. The superior vena cava carries all deoxygenated blood from your head, neck, chest, and your upper limbs. And the inferior vena cava carries all of your blood from the lower half of your body. Both the superior and the inferior vena cava drain blood into the right atrium. From here, all we have to do is trace the blood flow through our anatomical structures that we talked about earlier in the video. So the blood goes from the right atrium into the right ventricle through the tricuspid valve. And remember, this blood is blue because it has no oxygen. So the blood exits the right ventricle through the pulmonic valve and heads towards the lungs. It travels through the pulmonary arteries. These arteries are labeled blue because it's carrying deoxygenated blood, and they're labeled arteries because they're carrying blood away from the heart towards the lungs. In the lungs, gas exchange occurs and the blood becomes oxygenated. This newly oxygenated blood then travels through the pulmonary veins into the left atrium. Again, these veins are labeled red because they're carrying oxygenated blood, and they're called veins because they're carrying blood towards the heart. Once the blood reaches the left atrium, it then travels into the left ventricle through the mitral valve. And then from the left ventricle, it travels through the aortic valve into the aorta, where it is distributed to the rest of the body. Now try pausing the video and tracing the blood from start to finish. Thank you so much for checking out this video. If you liked this video and found it helpful, please smash that like button. hit subscribe as well as the bell notification so you never miss a video in the future. Also, if you're interested in knowing more scientific topics like the one covered today, please leave a comment down below letting me know which topic you'd like me to cover next. Again, thank you, and I will see you all on the next one.